Welcome to Business with Teacher T. In this video, we're going to be looking at sole traders and partnerships. Sole traders and partnerships both fall under the private sector, as well as many other types of businesses. AQA students, you do not need to know about partnerships. In a separate video, we're going to be looking at private limited companies and public limited companies. Within the private sector, there are unincorporated businesses and incorporated businesses. The unincorporated businesses are sole traders and partnerships. A sole trader is a business owned by one owner, also known as a proprietor. The sole trader is in full control of the business, but can employ people to work for the business. This is Carrie. Carrie is a sole trader and owns a construction firm. As a sole trader, setting up the business would have been straightforward and simple for Carrie. It's the most simplest and common form of business ownership, as there is minimal paperwork to complete. The sole trader has to provide the capital for the business, which means he or she would provide all the money to set up the business. There are many examples of sole traders, some of which are electricians, plumbers, window cleaners, and construction workers. Sole traders, as well as partnerships, which we'll look at shortly, have unlimited liability. There are many advantages and disadvantages of being a sole trader. Let's start by looking at the advantages. The first advantage is that the sole trader is able to keep all the profits that he or she makes in the business. They do not have to share it, and they can do with it what they choose. Being a sole trader is very simple to set up and is the most common form of business ownership. If there was a lot of paperwork in order for a sole trader to set up, then that could be very off-putting for some people. Finally, the sole trader is a person that is in control of the business, and many people do like that. They are able to decide on the name of the business, who to recruit, where the business should be located, what products to be sold, and many other things. However, there are disadvantages of being a sole trader. One of the disadvantages of being a sole trader is that there is limited capital if the sole trader wants to expand. For this type of business ownership, there aren't any shareholders to invest capital in the business. In addition, there is limited access to finance, as banks may be unwilling to lend large sums of money to sole traders, as that type of business could be perceived to be of greater risk. Another disadvantage is that a sole trader may have to work long hours, and they may not get to take many holidays. If the owner becomes ill, for example, and there's no one to cover, then the business may have to be closed for that period of time. Finally, there is a lot of financial risk in being a sole trader due to unlimited liability. Let's take a look at unlimited liability now. Unlimited liability. This is a concept students often find quite tricky, and it simply means that the owners assume the full responsibility of any debts of the business. In this respect, the owner and the business are seen as one. So if the business gets into debt and it cannot pay them off, then the personal belongings of the owners, such as their house, car, or any other valuables, will need to be used towards paying off the debt. This in effect means that the owners could lose their personal belongings, as it could be seized. This is only applicable if the business were to get into debt. This is a huge risk for business owners. Many of the disadvantages of being a sole trader could be overcome by becoming a partnership. A partnership is a business that is owned by two or more people. The partners are the joint owners of the business. Partnerships are often found in professional services such as doctors' surgeries, solicitors' offices, and accountancy firms. Any profits that are made are shared between the partners. In a partnership, the owners would typically agree on a set of rules that are presented on a document called a deed of partnership. The deed of partnership entails many things, but specifically it does specify how profits are shared between the partners and the percentage of the business that each person owns. In a partnership, there is also unlimited liability, which we know means the business owners in the partnership are personally responsible for all of the debts in the business. Right, Let's look at some of the advantages and disadvantages of being in a partnership. So, partnerships are almost as easy to set up as setting up a sole trader is, as there isn't any complicated paperwork to complete, which is definitely an advantage. Another advantage is that partners are able to contribute with a range of skills, as each owner is able to bring their own skills and ideas to the business, which means there should be more expertise and knowledge within the business. For example, if it was a partnership in a law firm, you might find that some partners will focus on aspects of criminal law, whilst others focus on aspects of civil law. Another advantage is that as there's more than one owner, then extra capital is available, as there is more than one person investing into the business. However, there are some disadvantages. One disadvantage is that partners may have disagreements. Conflicts may occur about the direction the business is going in, workload that each of them are doing, and certain decisions that have been made. If disagreements occur in a business, this can be very problematic for the partnership. Another disadvantage is that profits are shared between the partners. Typically, the amount of profit shared is equal to the amount invested into the business. A final disadvantage is that there is unlimited liability. As we know, with unlimited liability, this means that the business and the owner are one. If the business goes into debt, then the owner goes into debt. Thanks for watching this video. If you're liking a business vibe, don't forget to subscribe.